cats, it's Ed Energy Rod Bud here. I've got a long run shoe test for you today in the Maximus of midsole cushion, the ADIDAS ADIZERO PRIMEX STRUNG. Does it hold up as well as the previous versions did on the longer run? Let's find out. Thanks for joining me on the channel, it's always appreciated, people. Help to spread the good word by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications when I roll out the new vids for you. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. If you've got a particular question you want to get to me about any shoes I've featured on the videos recently, hit me up with a super thanks down below and I'll do my best to get straight to it. I return to my long run route around the edges of Yeovil today with a 12-mile effort around 20 kilometres, averaging about 7 minutes 45 per mile or 4 minutes 49 per kilometre if you like that sort of thing. Out there for around 1 hour 33 today, enjoying some crisp but beautiful Sunday morning temps and little to no wind to hamper the run. Mainly dry roads and pavement today, though I did have to traverse a few grassy sections owned by Mr. Squirrel. He'd been hard at work leaving behind all sorts of debris. So this route means consistent running pace uphill for around about 8 miles and then mostly downhill for the remaining 4. Nice flat terrain on that last section, which is always welcome. No rain to worry about, and I went out early to avoid a lot of the traffic. Gets really busy around this town now, even mid-morning. Keeping the heart rate nice and consistent there. Really pleased with that actually, considering the tempo. Didn't realise I was running quite that quickly. I think that's partly due to the effect of music. I was listening to some of my favourite stuff out there. We'll look at the upper first. I have to be honest, it's mid-October and still very mild here in the UK. Weather was around about 8 Celsius or about 47 Fahrenheit. The strung upper material seemed to be absolutely fine for this type of temperature. Wasn't too cold, oddly thicker to the touch, but actually a little bit more flexible than the one on the original Primex. I went with the thicker Adidas socks today, which suit this shoe perfectly and experienced no rubbing or blistering over the distance. Lockdown with a runner's knot was absolutely perfect. No tension related shenanigans or lace related lost time. I've noticed that almost all the Adidas sponsored athletes seem to be wearing these specific socks whenever they utilise the Adios Pro 3. They either use the ankle length ones or some more low profile socks. I have to say they provide some extra padding, certainly seems to work with the Primex Strung and the Adios 3 for me. All the run was pretty much spent around 7 minutes 45 pace, with no extra tight turns or switchbacks to worry about. Just nice easy cruising and the upper felt supremely comfortable. Now a lot of viewers have mentioned they've had some problems in the heel with the Adios 3 and the Primex Strung. I can't say that I've had that issue whatsoever. Probably the best uppers I've run in a long time. Then again, I've reviewed hundreds of shoes and I've barely had any blistering problems or rubbing at all in any of them. Maybe I'm just lucky. One great aspect of the strung upper is that it doesn't seem to take on any grime and grit. It's very easy to keep clean. Where you've got sort of fabric based uppers or mesh based uppers, they do seem to grab on some of that grit and sometimes they can become discoloured very quickly. That isn't the case here with Adidas's new strung upper. A quick wipe with the cloth and it's still looking reasonably fresh. No issues at all with the tongue or lace tension over the top of the foot. Just a really good run today. Midsole now. Really pleased to see that today I managed to keep things within that aerobic heart rate for pretty much the whole run, despite the elevation as well. It is a tester, that one. You've got to force yourself to make sure that you're very controlled in terms of the first few miles. I have to say the next day the Light Strike Pro midsoles left the legs feeling really good. No aches, pains, nothing. I could get out there for a few miles, I may do that later on, although it's probably time for a rest day. I mean, that was a good 29% of the weekly mileage done in one day, so maybe pushing it a little bit. But I think Light Strike Pro and certainly Zoom X do leave the legs feeling that little bit more fresh and ready. The foam up to now in the Primex Strung is certainly displaying all the characteristics that we've seen before in other ADIZERO shoes. It's getting more flexible, just feels like it's returning a little bit more energy. Not quite so uncontrollable, I suppose, in the bounce. As the miles stack up, it's just getting better and better, and that's pretty much exactly what the Takumi Sen 8 did, and also the Adios Pro 2 and the 3. I think the segments of foam here in the Primex Strung just seem to benefit from some breaking in period. I think I'm about 42 miles in the shoe now, and it's just getting better and better underfoot every single mile. Now, when this shoe launched, a few people suggested that the midsole would change. There are some differences here. I don't think there's any differences at all. I think the difference you might feel in the midsole was actually down to the upper. It is more containing, there's no doubt about that, than the first version of the Primex. Just locks the foot down onto the midsole base far more effectively. I do feel though that this shoe does want you to land in that midfoot area just to engage those blades there. That really is important with this shoe. I think you need some strong ankles here, or the want to get stronger ankles if you really want to get the best out of the Primex Strung. I do think that this shoe plus the Adios Pro 2 and 3 benefit lighter runners. I would suggest heavier runners want to probably avoid this shoe due to the inherent instability that you get in that arch area. Most of the midsole foam's cut out here and it does kind of collapse inwards. I think if you're a heavier built runner, that may be a bit of a problem for you. I kind of feel like I'm just sort of bouncing off the surface of this shoe really. I'm quite a slight guy and very tall as well. It's one model that I do feel needs a very assured foot strike, so I don't think it's one that beginners should pick up. I think it's more aligned to runners who are racking up significant numbers of miles each week, and it's too high a price to gamble with if it might work for you. Could cause some people some pain, so do be wary on that one. I think if the Adios Pro 1 or 2 worked for you and the Takumi Sen 8 was one of those shoes that just really hit the spot, then I think you'll be gold with the Primex Strung. Outsole wise, I was really surprised at how well this did today. It's actually a really versatile shoe. On Mr. Squirrel's grass, I felt reasonably assured, though conker shells and random tree debris left my heart aflutter. I can't recommend that you use this on a forest path, perhaps, if there's some sort of stony path after some sort of storm. Just don't do it, guys. And don't even think about going near any cobblestones in the Primex Strung. I think such outsole grip here will transport you to very special places. Extreme enjoyment on road and pavement. Though clearly not designed for any trails, so just avoid it. I think if you're going to listen to music that might enhance some of those feelings as well, Looking Out My Back Door by Creedence Clearwater Revival, or some summery jams by Mac DeMarco, you may reach a point of euphoria that it's hard to come back from. And you may end up running somewhat further than you thought and run out of Kit Kats to sustain your energy. So just be careful out there. Continental Rubber and last week's long run champ, the Puma Fast R Nitro Elite. They're the kings of outsole right now. Both materials work exceptionally well on wet surfaces, and that's something that's really important right now in the UK. I think it's going to rain for like 7 days in a row or something. So I better get the boat out. Nothing comes close aside from the Reebok Float Ride Energy 4 Adventure. I've got a review of that coming up soon, and there's some serious outsole lugs, I'm telling you. So overall, a great long run today. Almost felt too easy. And I ran a hell of a lot faster than I planned to, a lower heart rate. So that is a feature of this shoe. What's your take on the Primex Strung from Adidas so far? Are you going to be picking it up soon? I'm glad I did. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Musical interlude time. We're rewinding back to 1995 here with the fantastic Ben Folds 5. That was the title of their debut album. There's a couple of real stonkers on here. I really love Best Imitation of Myself and My Philosophy. Those tunes kind of mould together really. They become one song to me. Really important sort of part of my growing up, I suppose. Thinking to myself, well, I could be like all those other people, or just be me and kind of go after the things that I'm really into. Quite often I see YouTube videos where people are trying to be like other people, do the same things as other people, and that kind of really perplexes me. I just can't quite understand it. The most important thing we have as people and humans is our individuality, our true character. I think that's really important to put across to people rather than being some sort of pastiche of yourself. Some like clone or copy or something. You should really be yourself. People getting the same haircuts, saying the same things, it's just really weird to me. I think I do the best imitation of myself, and that's what I'll always try and do. And certainly my philosophy sometimes is misunderstood by people. I'm just a man who particularly enjoys running and shoes as well, and trainers, always have been since I was about 6-7 years old. In fact, I think I'm doing most of the same things that I was doing way back then, and that's okay. because it makes me happy. The thunderous piano on Ben Folds 5 tracks is something to behold, and you get some grimy fuzzed up bass too, and at times almost jazz drumming. Absolutely worth checking this one out if you've not heard the band before. 1995's Ben Folds 5. Thanks for tuning in, people, and sticking with me to the end of today's video. It is always appreciated. Help to continue to grow the channel by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you